Greetings. God be in my head, God be in my heart, God be to my left, God be to my right. Take a moment to just come out of the traffic, right? And turn off to tune in to God. This one is about guided imagery, and people have had different experiences with guided imagery. I've been using this particular one for a long, long time and had just amazing conversations. Now, not everybody has the same experiences with guided imagery. But what I find is afterwards, if it's with a group, to ask questions and to enter into discussion, there's great value in people hearing about other people's experiences and thoughts. Guided imagery is basically a story, and with pauses and questions to let imagination, to let intuition, to let God speak in the midst of your story and God's story coming together. To enter into guided imagery, it really does take a little bit of work to rid yourself, right, of kind of the things that are jumping around in your brain. And so to take some moments to breathe deeply. And if you need to pause this and do your own breathing, that's fine. But breathe deep, inhale, exhale, take some time to relax, to get everything out of your mind. Maybe close your eyes, not too comfortable that you'll fall asleep, right? But very, very comfortable and quiet around you. And I want you to imagine, put in your mind after you're relaxed, after your mind is kind of cleared for a little bit, put in your mind, if you would, that you're on a walk. And you can pick the place, pick a favorite place, a place with not a lot of people around, but pick a place that you are familiar with, that you love to go to, and take a walk. All right. I want you to imagine that you're walking, and if you would notice, what are the aromas that you smell? What are some of the sights? What time of year is it? What might you see? What are you probably most aware of in your mind? What are you thinking about today? Play that out in your mind for a moment. And you're walking. You're taking in the moment of being in this favorite place, noticing the things around you. And after a while, you notice up ahead that there's someone else on your trail or on your road or on your sidewalk, and they're walking ahead of you. And not to be feared, but you do get this sense, even though you're not close enough to know, you do get this sense that you're familiar with this person. Their pace seems to be slower than yours. And so as you walk, as you get a little bit closer, you get a little bit more curious. And then suddenly the person turns and looks with a very warm, loving style in their face. And you recognize this person as being Jesus, right? What's your first thoughts? What is this person wearing? What do they convey to you just in their smile? How do you greet Jesus? Or how does Jesus greet you? What do you say? After these greetings, you start to walk side by side. You start to walk together. You start to be with each other. And Jesus turns to you and says, "What are you looking for?" Your question might surprise you. Take some moments. How do you respond? How does Jesus respond to you? Together you continue to walk. What might you want to tell Jesus? What do you want to say? What do you want to share? Maybe it's that thing that's been most on your mind. Let that play out in your mind for a moment. Maybe after walking for some time, you come to a place where actually the road splits, and there's several paths that you could stop and take. Before you find out which way Jesus is going and which way you're going and what that means, you have a final question. And what might you ask? And then Jesus has an important final word or words just for you. Listen carefully. What do you hear Jesus saying directly to you? And now you choose a direction. And somewhat to your surprise, Jesus walks with you. No words, just walks with you. And together you walk side by side. Together. And once again, you notice your surroundings. You notice the sounds. Maybe are more aware of some of the aromas that you might smell. What's most on your mind now? What do you find yourself thinking about? Maybe feeling in the midst. And then again, just come out of the story and imagine, if you would, or feel your breath just going in and out. Slowly open your eyes. And come back to your space, your candle, and your coffee. So a lot going on there. And I always sometimes surprise people after taking them through that and goes, I want you to realize that what you did was just say a prayer. It was just you're communicating with God, with Jesus, as if you were talking. And with the added element of doing some pauses to listen. And I can't explain all that, but people do get just these intuitive kind of thoughts and wonderings and even messages that they sense doing this activity. It's a great one. There's a series of questions if you're working with a group to ask, and you can reflect on some of those for yourself and describe for yourself some of the things that you discovered. It's a great one also maybe to do some journaling around that kind of thing. Well, I added to this. This is kind of that guided meditation. So on your own, I also added some things to just talk with Jesus about in other ways. And some of these I've been amazed at through the years. One of them I call the chair prayer, right? And it's just setting up a chair, maybe with a cross on it, maybe draped with something, and you sitting across from that chair and talking as if Jesus is sitting in that chair and just having a conversation. I know. I think the first time I saw this or heard about this, I thought, that's kind of hokey. I even added it to a resource and thought, I don't know if I'd ever use that. I finally did. I remember I was in Texas and I set up about 5 or 6 experiences in a room, and people went in and came out. And anyway, I'll never forget a young pastor comes out of the room, and his eyes are just wide, and he says, we got to talk. And I went over and we sat for a few minutes, and he said, that was the most incredible spiritual experience I've ever had, sitting across from that chair and talking. And I was like, oh my gosh, who knew? But for some folks, that's just an amazing, amazing experience to get out of kind of the traditional prayer mode and use some elements, if you would. Walk and talk prayer, kind of like we just did, except go for a walk and literally imagine that Jesus is walking alongside you, and just talk. And just talk and say what you want to say and listen to what you want to listen to and notice what this person is. Now, one of the times I did this, I was surprised that as I was walking, Jesus took on the image of this Appalachian man that I had met years ago with a big beard and a floppy hat, and all kinds of stories I could tell you about this man. He was a carpenter and was really cool. But suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, that Jesus takes on an image of people that I know became very significant and kind of mind-blowing to me. I loved that experience. The last one is a phone prayer, to pick up a phone and talk as if you're talking to God on the phone. Okay, this is another one where I kind of go, I don't know. So a couple of years ago, I was at a camp, and I was working with camp counselors, and we set up some different things. And I had about 6 old phones, flip phones, and things like that. And we set this up and told people about it. You guys, it was this surprised me. It was the big burly looking camp counselor guys that sat there. I watched 3 of them sitting in this area on a phone, talking and talking and talking, and just telling God everything. And again, I love that one. So you guys, find ways that prayer is unique and different. Find it for you, experience them yourself, and then share them with others. Thanks for tuning in. This is a little bit longer one, but I appreciate you listening and playing with this a little bit. Blessings.